told me that I was very lost, that I had nothing to worry about, and that everything was okay, and that he was always watching me from the day I was born to the day I'll die. He will always be watching me, but I have nothing to worry about. He showed me segments of my life where things went wrong. He took me back to when I was in primary school as a young kid. He showed me certain little events, not even that bad things really, but like just small events that changed my perception of myself. And there was one specific one where he took me back and he's like, do you remember how you felt before that happened? I was like, yep, I felt like me. I felt like how I was supposed to feel, a child of God. And he's like, do you remember when that happened? I was like, I do remember when that happened. He's like, do you remember what it felt like? And I was like, oh, I could feel it. And I was like, yeah, I didn't like that. But do you remember how you felt afterward? And I specifically just remember thinking, ashamed to be myself. That's how I felt, ashamed to be myself. And he kind of showed me how that shaped me. That event really shaped who I was. I was then, from that point onward, I was ashamed to be myself. When I went into situations, I was ashamed, because I was scared that people wouldn't like me for who I was. And I could see how that one small event molded a whole bunch of events later in my life, where I just wanted to be accepted by people. And I did stupid things because of it, and it put me down a really, really dark path. Yeah. So yeah, he showed me segments of my life where I went wrong, or I made certain choices. Showed me from when I was a child up to about high school, into high school, out of high school, up to making certain decisions with drugs and stuff. But then he said, can you see how all that happened so you could be here with me now? I was like, yep. In that state of love, I could just understand how everything worked. I was like, yep, I can understand that. He's like, yeah, so everything happens for a reason. And he went on to repeat that a few times. Everything happens for a reason. There's a purpose to everything. I was like, okay. And then he went on to show me what I kind of take now as the battle versus good versus evil. It went to a vision of a field, a huge field, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hectares wide and long. And on our side, it was completely blue. And it was just this blue misty fog that went on for a really, really long time. And as it went on and on and on and on, it reached a wall, and it started climbing up the wall. And it was all blue on our side. And as it got to the very, very top of the wall and started to peek over, it changed color to red, and it dropped red down the wall on the other side. And then it just went red for eternity that way. And I could clearly see it, and I was like, okay, what's this? And you go like, this is the battle of good versus evil. You'd forgotten what side you were on, and now you've been reminded. You know what side you're on. You're on my side, and you just forgot who you were. You were just a bit lost. And I had this overwhelming feeling of, let me up. I just want to fight. I want to get back in the battle. He said, no, you got to stay down. You got to recover. You got to rest. I was like, okay, cool. And yeah, he then went on to tell me.
So David, this section that we just watched could be best described by a Bible verse.
I think so. And we're reading from the book of Romans in the New Testament.
He has this memorized, by the way. Don't you, David?
Of course. I have an entire Bible memorized.
I
can't pull it up all the time. So this is Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And this is Paul speaking to the Christians who he calls Romans in a letter. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to God's purpose. So we are going to see how this drug addict, who Michael appears to because somebody else made a simple prayer for Archangel Michael's help to help him, and how his life, including perhaps all the terrible things he's experienced, came to be, and how they are maybe working towards God's purposes.
Well, so in this section, that was rather a roundabout way of saying,
I don't mind going around a few bushes to get there, or around the barn.
well, it was close to around the
You have a
barn.
barn?
It might have been around the ranch, actually.
Could be around the ranch.
So he went over his life, Archangel Michael pointing out different areas in his childhood, mostly in his childhood, but specifically one event that caused him to feel bad about himself and shamed about himself. And from that point on, he wanted people to like him. I mean, does that sound like any of us at all? I mean, that we've experienced something that we've now felt like we wanted people to like us and we are ashamed of ourselves. I think that can speak to a lot of us. But this section ends up with Archangel Michael saying, much like the Bible verse said that David read, was that Archangel Michael said that all these things happened so that you could be right here, right now with me.
All these things are because he was called according to God's purpose. It all makes sense when get through the problem and you're on the other side and you're standing in the presence, so to speak, of God and of good. We have a different view on these things that may have been very painful.
So we just wanted to, because we are a team. It's just not me. I know it seems almost it's just me entirely.
Sometimes feel like I'm all alone over here. I'm only 2 feet away or 1 foot.
Okay. I could say something, but I shall not.
Maybe we should just go on.
We should just go on. But we just wanted to encapsulate that little teaching from the Bible and how Archangel Michael basically said the same thing. So let's go to the next section.
He mentioned that I was Saint Christopher at one point. He goes, "You are Saint Christopher." I don't know if I'm supposed to take that as I'm the reincarnation of Saint Christopher, or just because my name is Christopher Raleigh, that I'm a saint, maybe saved by grace or something along those lines. But yeah, so toward the end of it, he just said, "You've got nothing to worry about. Everything's okay. I'll always be watching you. I'll always be watching you. Everything's fine. Have faith." And yeah, as he said that, he just kind of slowly faded out, and I was left sitting there on the end of my bed, staring at the wall, in the state of what just happened. At no point during it did he mention his name. At no point did I ask him his name. It was so overwhelming and new to anything I'd experienced in my whole entire life. I really didn't know how to take it for a little bit. I didn't tell anybody for about a week or two because I was afraid they were going to say I'd lost my mind and send me to a hospital or something like that. So the first person I told was my older brother, and I went up and I was like, "I got something to tell you. Had this experience." I told him everything, and he just kind of looked at me and he's like, "Wow." He's like, "Have you ever heard of Archangel Michael?" I was like, "Nope, I don't remember that name. I don't recall that anywhere." He's like, "You sure?" I was like, "Not that I can remember." And then he's like, "Go to Google and type in Archangel Michael." And I went to Google and I typed it in, and I just started crying my eyes out. There's, a description of how he looked, a description of him saving people and whatnot, and yeah, I just cried my eyes out in like joy and happiness, I guess, and that was my experience. And ever since then, I've kind of turned my life around for the better. I was completely healed of any desire for drugs after that point. A lot of things changed in my life, a lot of things. I've helped a lot of friends come to the faith, or come to a faith. Yeah, so that's my experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.
So, David, did you know that everything happens for a reason? So if I do this, there's a reason for it.
And if I do this, I believe that's true. I believe that we go through all kinds of experiences, bad, good, and everywhere in between, as we're growing more to the point where we can dedicate our lives to the better side of life, the better things in life, including God, His work, and His kingdom. And it's easy to forget that because life has a lot of distractions. But we, I think, can reach a point where, and I've reached this point with certain things in my life which were really hard to go through, really painful, But when I got through to the other side, I was grateful for the experience because it deepened my interest in life, my love of God and other people. So, yes, I think everything happens for a reason, but when you're in the middle of a painful thing going on, it's very hard to see.
It's hard to see. And so when he says everything happens for a reason, you have to ask yourself, why does it happen and what is the reason for it? And I think David alluded to it or said it right there. It's because you're supposed to learn something from it, grow stronger, and become more of who you are, get rid of the pain, and recognize the pain that this situation brings up and deal with it and resolve it. And there are, of course, spiritual tools, and there's prayers and working on your psychology and all these things for very, like when you get a divorce or something, or a child dies or something very traumatic. I know of a person where their loved one died, and for over a year, they're still in the trauma phase. They're still traumatized by this person dying, this key person dying in their life. And at that point, it seems like you really need some help, spiritual help, emotional help to overcome it. And you don't, and when you're in the midst of it, like David said, you don't really know, why am I feeling this pain? Why am I suffering? Why am I going through this? This is just so intense. And some people, as we know, commit suicide rather than go through the pain. They don't want to, the only way they know to get out of the pain is to commit suicide.
Or they do other things that maybe kind of like slow suicide. Maybe they drink, maybe they take drugs, maybe they do other things that get them temporarily out of the feeling of pain, or at least numb the pain. And yet those things can be, of course, the, so to speak, death of them.
So
I think I feel a certain device coming into play.
Device, yes. So when we're talking about absolute pain, we're talking about, you're down here in the lower levels.
No,
well, I'm talking about absolute pain. I know you're always the blissful side. Yeah. You're above the darkometer. You're the extremo lightometer. But so when you're in pain and you're about ready to die or commit suicide or get into drugs, we're really going down low in the vibration, the darkometer level. But what we want to do, and what we're going to talk about later at some point in this video, is how, when we find ourselves in this area, how to get our vibration up into the light part, the lighter part. Yeah. Right, David?
Yes.
David's going to do that. He's going to do that.
All by myself.
Yeah, all by himself.
I'm going to leave you down there to investigate further in the levels of the darkometer. But yes, there are ways that you can help with God's help. You can bring, and we should remember that God helps those who help themselves. It's a famous saying, God helps those who help themselves. So,
well, it's kind of like the did I interrupt you? It sounded like you were going to go on to another point there.
I might have,
but I'm going to say.
But I can't remember it now. I was so shattered by your interruption.
I know, because that's what I do.
But you probably have a good point.
I do, and it's a very.
That's why you're wearing a hat.
Well, it helps. The intelligence is all in the hat, or part of it. So anyway, there's, like David says, is that God helps those who help themselves. It's like
a man prays to God for help in the midst of a flood. He's up on top of his house, as I remember that, because the floodwaters are up to the bottom of his roof. He's up there high and dry, and he's asking God to save him, and a boat comes along with some firemen in it or something, and they say, come on down, get in the boat, we'll take you to dry land. He says, no, God's going to help me. And they said, well, okay, because they've got many other people to save. And then a little later, somebody else, a boat with some National Guard or something, come along. And they offer to take him off the roof, and no, God's going to save me. And you want to tell the rest of the jokes? It's not a joke.
Well, so
it's a story.
So then he dies because nobody saves him. He goes up to heaven, and he complains to God. He says, why didn't you save me? That I died and you didn't come to save me. And he said, well, I sent the boat 3 times,
right?
3 separate boats, and you didn't get in. So the point is that you have to do something yourself for God to help you.
God helps those who help themselves. All he had to do was walk down the roof, step in one of the 3 boats.
If you want to lose weight, then sitting on the couch, laying on the couch all the time isn't quite going to work. But if you're asking God to help you lose weight, then he's going to bring to you disciplines or awarenesses or things you can do or stop doing to keep you from gaining weight and to start losing weight. And by the way, David, maybe you might want to check in. Just kidding.
I'm trying to lose the weight. I've got this dead weight for a partner. I mean, I'm sure all of you can see that. And
no, David, you're actually slim and trim, I have to admit. So that's enough about you and I. Let's get back to our story here.
Okay. Thank you.
So, David, as we conclude, we have to end up with the Darkometer.
Darkometer once again.
Because we want to go up. And as we end up, we don't want to end down, but we're ending up as we end up.
Winding up.
As we're winding
down.
Winding up. We're winding up in vibration. And we're winding up this section and our video here. And what he said was that in addition to Archangel Michael saying he was St. Christopher, or was he reincarnation, he didn't really know what it meant for sure, but it was a positive message regardless.
Right. He, one of the things he does say is that he was completely healed of his desire for drugs. So this experience, which we don't know exactly how long it was, it seemed like only a few minutes with Archangel Michael. He does say that Archangel Michael called him St. Christopher, and he didn't know whether that meant he was maybe the re-embodiment of St. Christopher, or just that he was, because his name is Christopher, that he's needs to act in a more saintly way. But he had said earlier that Archangel Michael had said you had forgot whose side you are on.
Right,
and that's a pretty important point. He's now on the side of Archangel Michael.
Right.
And he's been completely healed in just a few minutes of this long-term desire for drugs. And he's thinking of himself in a new way. So he's had a transformation, a regeneration of how he sees himself, because he went from feeling empty and nothing, no personality, to all of a sudden he's got total view of purpose in life, because Archangel Michael has stepped into that life.
Right, and he wanted to fight. He was
ready to fight.
Ready. He forgotten what side you're on.
Give me my sword, my shield. I'm ready to go.
And so what we have here is a prayer, a decree that we give, and that can be given that gives you that fighting spirit, that fighting vibration and flame. And Archangel Michael said, "There's nothing to worry about. He's always watching you. He's always watching him."
Yeah, from the day of being born, and the day he dies, and then of course on beyond that, Archangel Michael has always been watching, always will be watching him. And this is a way to enter into that consciousness and make contact with Michael, who is the ultimate guard of our souls and our life, along with God and Jesus and the rest of the great saints in heaven.
So we're going to give this prayer.
Why not? Let's just do it.
There was no question whatsoever. And as we give it, I'll put an image of Archangel Michael in the garb, in the Roman centurion garb that he was describing, that he saw Archangel Michael as. So let us, David, you and I, and those that want to join us, let's give this prayer that I now put behind us by the magic of digital computer, digital excellence. Yes, I'll go with that. So it's a quick one. It's got a good beat, and it kind of fits with Archangel Michael. Wouldn't you agree?
I do agree, and it isn't stated in the prayer that it is a prayer to Michael, but Michael is the ultimate guard for souls on earth, along with the great hosts and legions of light.
And we can feel the rhythm of this. Are you ready, David?
I am ready.
Are you ready for the rhythm, the battle, the fight?
The battle. Let's do it 3 times.
Okay. All right. Together. Guard, guard, guard us by the lightning of thy love. Guard, guard, guard us by thy great self above. Guard, guard, guard us by thy secret power of light. Guard, guard, guard us by thy great and glorious might, and seal us safe forever in thy diamond heart of light. Guard, guard, guard us by the lightning of thy love. Guard, guard, guard us by thy great self above. Guard, guard, guard us by thy secret power of light. Guard, guard, guard us by thy great and glorious might, and seal us safe forever in thy diamond heart of light. Guard, guard, guard us by thy lightning of thy love. Guard, guard, guard us by thy great self above. Guard, guard, guard us by thy secret power of light. Guard, guard, guard us by thy great and glorious might, and seal us safe forever in thy diamond heart of light. Well, David?
I am present. I'm sorry.
He goes off like that every once in a while. But I was going to say, David, I think we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish.
I think so.
And we said what we wanted to say, and we did what we wanted to do, and now we're going to end like we want to end.
And we often
Sing
have been known to ride off into the sunset.
We've been known to do that.
Singing.
I have yet to see it, but we've been known that that can happen, even though I haven't seen it.
Perhaps we should do that now.
Okay, David.
It's time.
It's time. God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless everyone out there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for enduring. You endured to the end. And we will be back again with just another click of your mouse on our YouTube video.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. Some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride that trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails.